Today is June 4th, Thursday. I want to go over two trades. So this is going to be a trade recap video. One I tape read and one I actually took. The one that is in front of you right now is the one I took, and then I'll go to the one that I tape read the previous day on Wednesday. So today's been a rough week for me overall, just because it's NFP week, it's higher volatility than usual, things like that. But going into market open, you can see we had these London lows that were pretty prominent. And there's your Asia session. So this is Asia session, and this is London session. So we had prominent London lows, which off market open, we came down and we swept them. Okay, this is going to be an hourly fair value gap. Let me show you that now. That's an hourly fair value gap that was mitigated, but still was a decent target for this trade. And obviously the peak of the trade where I would have really wanted to target if it was a good week, if I was having a good week, would have been this 30,544.25. But that's how it goes when volatility is up and increased. So going into market open, you can see we had this clean sweep of this level here at 30,163, which therefore we had an inverse fair value gap. I believe that is on the, no, I've had it on the 1 minute. So we came down, we swept this level. You can see price reacted off that level perfectly. And I combined these two fair value gaps because you'll see in the one that I tape read why I didn't take it, but I combined these two because it's just better to combine them into one big one rather than to treat them as two smaller ones. So you can see price closed over this fair value gap, causing an inverse. Price pushed up. This is where I got break even, and then I got to constant encroachment on the hourly fair value gap. Here is where I exited. In a perfect world where I had a good week and I didn't have a couple losing days early on in the week, I would have wanted to target this 30,544 because it's the obvious engineered liquidity on the chart. But other than that, this was a great trade. This was a 2.31 risk to reward ratio. There really wasn't much bad to say about this trade. This was like a perfect textbook A+ setup in my opinion. It was really easy, clear liquidity targets from the sweep to also take profits. With that hourly fair value gap above, you could have targeted the constant encroachment, and or you could have targeted these highs or just the top of the fair value gap. Either way, all three would work out perfectly. That's about all I have to say for this one, this trade today. The one that I tape read is back here, and I'll show you why I didn't take this one. So kind of the same sort of setup, lots of selling pressure in London session. Into market open with this sweep here of this level here at 30,561.25. So you can see we swept that level. And I believe this is on the 3 minute this shows up. Yeah, so look at, we have a 3 minute inverse here. But you can see we have these big fair value gaps above. Usually I don't worry about smaller fair value gaps, but these bigger ones are something to worry about. So you can see how price closed above, and it would have worked out in hindsight, I guess, just with the selling pressure on Wednesday. It's just this one wasn't as clean of a setup, and you can see how it didn't really work out in the end of the day. Let me find out where this fair value gap is. I believe it's on a 15 minute. Yeah, so you can see, look at, we filled out this fair value gap here, and price rejected as soon as it filled it out. So if I would have actually taken this trade, I would have targeted something like this, and then I would have got eventually stopped out here. I don't like longing into unmitigated fair value gaps, which is what this would have been without these candles here. It would have been an unmitigated fair value gap, longing into it. I don't like doing that. Whereas the one before was mitigated, just a little bit different. And yeah, that's about all I have for this trade and why I didn't take it. I just didn't like how all the fair value gaps were stacked on top of each other on this day. Like all the fair value gaps were stacked, whereas, or not this day. This day we had those 1 minutes, those only 1 minutes that we inversed, and after that it was a pretty clear target, just straight to break even. Whereas before, the other one we had fair value gaps stacked above to cause obviously some resistance at those levels. But here is the profits from today. And I know this video is kind of out of whack in terms of what I've been recording, but I wanted to get on here and at least show some of the more intermediate level people that may be watching these videos the two trades that I had taken this week. And then obviously I took more. I took one on Monday and Tuesday, I believe, but they were both losses. I've had a rough week with NFP, increased volatility, things like that. But overall, this caused my week to end green, so I can't complain. I won't trade tomorrow because it's NFP. And yeah, so I will see you guys in the next one.